So he gave me one of my first assignments in the Tata Group. He sent me to Hosur on an assignment at that point in time. So I have worked with the Tata Group for 39 years, and I just want to ask all of you in the audience here, how many of you use some Tata product or service in your life, or you have used? So I think I can see at least 95% of the hands in the hall go up. And this is the case with every audience that I face in the country and everyone that I speak to. Roughly about 90-95% of the people at least put up their hands. And one of the reasons this has happened, ladies and gentlemen, is because the Tata Group has been very fortunate to have excellent leaders who have taken the group into different areas important to Indian industry, but have done it with integrity and with principles. If the group is today such a large conglomerate, and the Tata brand is not just India's most trusted brand, but is the only Indian origin brand amongst the top 100 in the world. And if 900 million people are using some Tata product or service, half of the Indian population uses some Tata product or service. One of the key reasons is that the group has had excellent leaders since the time of our founder Jamshedji Tata, who lived so many years ago. And while that is not the subject of my conversation, but Bangalore is very close to the Tata Group. In fact, one of the first institutions that Jamshedji Tata created was the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. And one of the first few businesses he created, which is just next to where I live in Basavangudi, was the Tata Silk Farm, which is still called the Tata Silk Farm. But that's the subject of another conversation. I've had the opportunity over 4 decades of working with some superb Tata leaders. When I joined the group, Mr. J.R.D. Tata was the chairman of the group. But over a long period of time when I was part of the group, the chairman of the group was Mr. Ratan Tata, whose name all of you would have heard. He is an icon to us in Indian industry. And thereafter, I have also had the privilege of working with many other leaders who have been my supervisors and managers. But I am going to refer to 3 of them in this address because of the paucity of time. I am going to talk about some things, some lessons that they have left behind with me, which I think will also be lessons that all of us can treasure. I am going to refer to Mr. Ratan Tata. I am going to refer to a gentleman called Mr. R.K. Krishna Kumar, who used to be my boss in Tata Tea. He was the managing director of Tata Tea when I joined as a young manager. And I am going to refer to a person who is the doyen of the chemical industry in India, Mr. Darbari Seth, who was the chairman of Tata Chemicals for a very long time. Now these 3 gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ratan Tata, Mr. Darbari Seth and Mr. Krishna Kumar, they achieved a lot in terms of business and in terms of where they had to reach. Take Mr. Ratan Tata for instance. Let me just share one story with you of the kind of businesses that he developed for our country. You know, in the mid-1990s, India did not have a car that it would call its own. Of course, we had the Maruti Suzuki on the roads of India, we had the Hyundai, but they were being designed in Japan and in Korea and were being assembled in our country. And Mr. Ratan Tata stood up and said, why can't we have a car that is designed for Indian families, that is made of Indian components, that is made for Indian roads and for Indian families? And a lot of people stood up and said, you know, this is not possible. This requires a far better technological base. India does not have that technological base. He actually asked for the industry to come together and do this. And the reason he did that was because the automobile industry creates new levels of engineering excellence. It gives rise to ancillary units, it gives rise to so much employment across the country. But when the rest of them were very skeptical, he said, we will do it in Tata Motors. People did not believe him. But he got the Tata Indica designed. The engineers of Tata Motors in Pune, along with IDEO of Turin, they designed the Tata Indica. He could not afford to buy a first-hand car plant. It was too expensive for Tata Motors at that time. So they went around the world, found an old car plant in Australia, a Nissan car plant, and they brick by brick, they disassembled it and brought it to Pune, where they set up the first car plant for the Tata Indica. Must be tens of thousands of tons. They had to train workers to make cars because Tata Motors only knew how to make trucks at that time and commercial vehicles. They were not in the cars business. They did that. And even today, those workers, when I have met them in Pune, they talk about what pride it was to create India's first car. And then a car consists of about 3,800 components at that time. They had to set up ancillary units to manufacture those components. And you'll be amazed to know that within a period of 2 to 3 years, Tata Motors established those ancillary units. And when the Tata Indica was launched by Mr. Ratan Tata in 1998, 97% of all components in that car were proudly made in India. And that is how the first all-Indian car was born. It was not without problems. There were some quality problems initially with the Tata Indica, which many people in Tata Motors still squirm sometimes when they hear about it. But those were quickly rectified by Mr. Ratan Tata leading from the front. Though a lot of people said, didn't we tell you that India cannot make its own car when those problems came up? But those were quickly rectified. The Indica was relaunched as the Indica V2, and by 2001, some of you may remember that famous advertisement which said more car per car for the Tata Indica, and by 2001-2002 it went on to become the fastest selling car on the face of India. And now of course Tata Motors has the Harrier, the Nexon, the Punch, the Sierra. You see so many cars, beautiful cars of Tata Motors, but this is what Mr. Ratan Tata did for the birth of Tata Indica, which was India's first car. In a similar manner, Mr. R.K. Krishna Kumar, who was my first boss when I joined Tata Tea, he did something which was extraordinary. Tata Tea was a company which was selling tea and coffee in India. We were a plantation company. We had plantations in Munnar and Annamalais in Tamil Nadu, and then we had coffee plantations in Coorg in Karnataka, and then plantations in Assam and Duars in West Bengal. From there we became a large branded tea player. But at a time when no one could believe that an Indian company could acquire a global brand, Mr. R.K. Krishna Kumar, under Mr. Ratan Tata's guidance, went ahead, and in the year 2000, for the first time ever in India, an Indian company acquired Tetley, which was the second largest tea brand in the world. It was a milestone for our country. It had never happened until then, and it happened despite so many challenges that were faced. Raising of funds, the leveraged buyout, and it's a separate story which I will not go into now. But he made that happen after working on it for 6 to 7 years with great persistence, and for the first time you had an Indian company owning a global brand when Tata Tea was acquired Tetley. I was part of that core team working on that acquisition at that time, and I still remember the moments of disappointment, the moments of exhilaration, and the moment of pride when finally Tata Tea owned Tetley. And that led to so many more acquisitions over the years thereafter. Whether it's Jaguar Land Rover, JLR, or Tata Steel Europe, or acquisitions undertaken by so many other companies, Altel, the Aditya Birla Group, there are so many other acquisitions undertaken. But India really came onto the global stage as a result of these global acquisitions. Similarly, Mr. Darbari Seth, the third person whom I have mentioned in this brief dialogue, he was the person who literally ensured that Tata Chemicals, a company which is a huge soda ash manufacturer, became successful in a very dry and drought-prone region of Okha Mandal in Gujarat in India. He did that despite several challenges, and after that he went on to lead the launch of Tata Salt in India, which is today, I think, about 700 odd million people in the country proudly consume Tata Salt. We are very happy giving it to our children, to our parents, whatever age group it is. It is one of the most trusted brands in the country, but he created those brands. So on the one hand, these three people, Mr. Ratan Tata, Mr. Darbari Seth, and Mr. Krishna Kumar, were brilliant business strategists, and they did what leaders should do. They had a vision, they took risks. It was very risky to invest in the Tata Indica or to invest in buying a global brand, but they went ahead and did it, and they made it very successful. So that is one phase of leadership, and what I have seen of that phase of leadership is that it requires a lot of persistence. It requires a lot of courage to take those risks. It requires a lot of execution energy to make it successful, notwithstanding all the challenges that you face. But ladies and gentlemen, that is not the main subject of my presentation here today. No, this is, I think we hear of this so often. We hear of leaders who take risks, who are courageous, who go out and do things which have never been done before. I think that's a very important part of leadership. But to me, that does not define the soul of leadership. The soul of leadership, according to me, lies somewhere else. And just like I started with the Tata Indica, which we are so proud of, I want to take you to another incident which involved Mr. Ratan Tata, and which we watched from close quarters in the Tata Group, but I am sure many of you will also remember it when I mention the incident. On the 26th of November 2008, Mumbai suffered probably the most tragic day in its existence ever. There were a set of terrorists who came all the way from Pakistan, and they attacked several places in Mumbai. They attacked the VT station. They attacked some restaurants in Colaba. They attacked the Trident Hotel, and they also attacked the Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai. Now, the Taj Mahal Hotel is owned by the Tata Group. It's part of Indian Hotels Company. It was a hotel that was established by Jamshedji Tata in 1903, more than 100 years of age. Sometime on the late evening night of 26 November, this hotel was attacked by terrorists. Of course, the story of that night has been told many times, and I think the heroes of that night were really the staff of the hotel, who stayed behind to protect the guests without running away, even though they knew the secret exits in the hotel. And as a result of that, I think 14 staff of the Taj actually lost their lives and made the supreme sacrifice. And they were the true heroes of that night. But the news that the hotel has been attacked reached Mr. Ratan Tata within 45 minutes. And he was there. Within 45 minutes he was at the hotel. They obviously did not permit him to enter the hotel. But he said, if you don't permit me to enter, I am waiting here. And then he waited on the footpaths outside the Taj. Between the Taj and the Gateway of India, there are some footpaths there. He waited there for the next 3 days until the terrorists were killed within the hotel. He was there. And Mr. Krishna Kumar has told me this, that he felt very helpless. Mr. Tata felt very helpless. But at the same time, he wanted to be there to express solidarity with the people within the hotel who were under attack by the terrorists. And for 2.5 to 3 days and nights, he stood there, except for short breaks to go to his house or to the office. Now, the 3 terrorists who had attacked the Taj and entered the Taj, they were killed on the 3rd day. And then Mr. Ratan Tata entered the hotel. And when he entered and looked round, the entire scene that he saw was one of destruction. The chandeliers had fallen down, the sofa sets were attacked, there were bullet holes everywhere. It was a very, very tragic scene. And soon thereafter, the media was there. They wanted to meet him and ask him, sir, what are you now going to do? Now that your flagship property is lying in such a wasteful, such a disrepaired condition. So Mr. Tata addressed the press and he said 2 things. The first thing that he said is, he said, we can be hurt, but we cannot be knocked down. This is a hotel which has stood with pride for more than 100 years, and it will stand with pride for the next 100 years and more. And he made a commitment saying that we will reopen this hotel within a month of the attacks. He was saying this just on the 28th or 29th of November, 2-3 days. And truly speaking, on the 21st of December, the tower wing of the Taj, within a month, within 3 weeks, recommenced business. And what Mr. Tata said, that we can be hurt but we cannot be knocked down, became a very, very strong vow of defiance, saying that we can never be knocked down by people. But he did something else which I want to describe to you today. He also announced to the media that we are very keen to help out every person in the city of Mumbai or every family in the city of Mumbai which has been impacted by these terror attacks. And he announced this to the media straight off. He said that we would like to help bring these people, provide relief and rehabilitation to the people who have been victims of this attack and to their families. Now, this story has been narrated to me by one of your members, Mr. H.N. Srinivas, whom many of you know very well. He was the CHRO of the Taj of the Indian Hotels Company at that time. So apparently when Mr. Tata made this announcement to the media, some of the senior executives who were standing near him, they said, Mr. Tata, we don't even know how many people have actually passed away or been, lost their lives or been injured. Obviously, they were scared, is Mr. Tata making a big commitment without, the financial impact of this being known? So apparently, Mr. Tata turned to them and in a soft voice, this is, again, Mr. Srinivas has told me this. He said, how does it matter? This city, the city of Mumbai, has given us so much over the last 100 years and more. And this is the time when the city needs us. And this is the time when we should do something for the city when it is in need. So he was making this commitment without even knowing the magnitude of what had happened. And as a result of this, it resulted in the establishment of the Taj Public Welfare Service Trust, into which Tata Sons as well as a number of other Tata companies and other companies contributed. And these funds were then used for the relief and rehabilitation of the family of every person who lost their life. I think about 175 people lost their lives during the terror attacks in Mumbai on that day. So they were used for the relief, for the education of their children, for the for businesses which were destroyed to help to set up those businesses again. They were used for the relief and rehabilitation. Now what amazes, it was also used for the medical help provided to the people who were injured in the terror attacks across. And what amazes me is that Mr. Tata at no point thought that this should only be done for the people who have been injured or lost their lives within the Taj. He said it should be done for the city of Mumbai as a whole. And to me, and after that he went to hospitals. He spent time with the people who were in the hospital recovering from their injuries. He spent time with the family of every employee of the Taj who had lost their life during that period and ensured the required help was given to them. In short, the Taj Public Welfare Trust over the last 2008 to 2026 is now 18 years. Over the last 18 years has provided relief and rehabilitation to hundreds of families in Mumbai and made them come back to the mainstream of life. And some of those stories, I may not have time today to narrate all those stories, but some of those stories are very, very inspiring. To me, ladies and gentlemen, this is the face of care and compassion. And I believe that however great a leader may be on strategy, or however great a leader may be on, courage, I think care and compassion is where the soul of leadership lies. And in many ways, this is a lesson that so many of us within the Tata Group have learned from Mr. Ratan Tata. But care and compassion with respect to a terror attack is what I have described. It's also about respect to every individual. One of the things that Mr. Ratan Tata used to tell members of his core leadership team, is it doesn't matter whom we are speaking to. It doesn't matter whom we are interacting with. He said one of our principles should always be never to make the other person feel small. Speak to people with respect and dignity and make sure that people always feel respect and dignity within them. I still remember, I have had many meetings with Mr. Ratan Tata during my career on various issues. Once there was some matter of concern where I had to meet him, and I thought he may be upset. After all, going to meet the group chairman of the Tata Group is not a very easy thing to do, particularly when there's a matter of concern. So I had gone fully prepared with files and data and whatever was required to be able to explain this to him. I did not know whether he would lose his temper or whether he would give me a dressing down when he heard about this. So I went to his room. There was one other person in the room. But I must say, for 10 to 15 minutes, he heard me very patiently, listening to me with complete silence and actually hearing me and hearing what I was to say. And at the end of it, he gave me very clear directions on what we should do and what he thought was the right thing for the Tata Group to do. and which he thought I should be doing as well. So when I left that room, of course what he said was absolutely on the dot, but when I left that room, I left the room with my dignity intact. Because he had given me a clear message, but he had done it in a very dignified way, very respectfully. So this is also the people-centric face of leadership. And care and compassion is also about respect and dignity to the other individual. But in many ways, I want to, talk about care and compassion about Mr. Darbari Seth and Mr. Krishna Kumar in a very different light, because they were people whom I directly reported to. So, Mr. Krishna Kumar was a very, very tough manager. He was, he was fondly called KK within the Tata group. He used to be the MD of Tata Tea, and after that he was the MD of the Taj group of hotels. He was a director of Tata Sun. He was a trustee of the Tata Trust. He was he used to conduct his meetings so ferociously that sometimes instead of calling him KK, we used to call him AK-47. Because that was his style of functioning. I still remember so many times I have gone to his room with a report or with something that I wanted to say, and I would be promptly thrown out of his room saying, this does not meet the standards that I want. You please correct it and come back. Those were some very good learnings for us as young managers when I was in my 20s and 30s. But what I want to narrate to you is that in 1992, my marriage was scheduled. And Ms. Karuna has already referred to my wife, Dr. Veena Bhatt. So Veena and I got married in 1992, and our marriage was scheduled in Mangalore, which is our hometown. Both of us come from Mangalore. So I went to Mr. Krishna Kumar and I gave him an invitation to my wedding. He was the MD of the company. I was a deputy manager. And of course he accepted the invitation and he wished us all the best. And then after that I took leave for my wedding and I came away to Mangalore to prepare for the wedding. And our wedding was on the 24th of May. I still remember it was in the Sanganiketan in Mangalore, and we were preparing for the wedding. And I had forgotten all about the invite I had given Mr. Krishna Kumar, because the managing director of a company is very busy and the headquarters of Tata Tea at that time was in Kolkata. So Kolkata to Mangalore is a long distance away. There is even today I don't think there's a direct flight. Certainly in 1992 there was no direct flight. But on the morning of the day of my wedding, I get a telephone call. In fact, my father gets a telephone call from the Manjarun Hotel in Mangalore, and they tell him that Mr. Krishna Kumar and his wife have come here to attend Harish's wedding. And then well before the Muhurtam starts in the morning, both he and his wife come into the wedding, sit there for the entire morning, have lunch with us and then leave. For the managing director of a company to do that, coming all the way from Kolkata to Mangalore, he must have come either via Bombay or Bangalore, I'm not sure, but it would have taken him at least 1 or 1.5 days, not less than that, to come and then go back to Kolkata. And that to me, and it's not just with my wedding, it has happened with many, many people who have narrated similar stories to me. It has happened with staff in our guest houses when I meet them, and they have spoken about how Mr. Krishna Kumar has taken care of their medical expenses when something went wrong with them, or how he has even airlifted someone who was suffering from a medical emergency. So care and compassion really is about taking that time and effort for individuals who are working with you and are part of your team. I think that's a lesson that I learned very, very strongly for him. He was a wonderful business leader. He did very well for Tata Tea as a company, but it's incidents like this that made us work for him so passionately. And even today, he's no longer alive. He passed away a few years ago. But even today, if there was something that he asked me to do, I would give my life to do that something. Because this is the kind of care that he exhibited. And I think managers today and leaders today should understand that leadership is not just about courage and risk taking and those aspects of leadership. It is also about care and compassion and respect and dignity for the individual. I want to close, I know I'm coming to the end of my 25 minutes, but I want to close with a story about Darbari Seth. Now, Darbari Seth was a very, very busy individual. He was the chairman of Tata Tea, the chairman of Tata Chemicals, the chairman of a company called Rallis India, which you might have heard of, which is in agrochemicals and so forth. He was the chairman of Tata Coffee in Coorg here. And I had the rare opportunity of working with him as his executive assistant and project manager for a couple of years. So for a couple of years, I was transferred from the marketing department of Tata Tea, which was in Yashwantpur here in Bangalore at that time. I was transferred to Bombay, and I went to Bombay and worked as a project manager in Mr. Darbari Seth's office. I learned a lot from him. Maybe I will keep that to a separate discussion. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. But after 2 years, I reverted back to my home cadre, which is Tata Tea, as a sales and marketing manager here. And I came back to Bangalore. We used to be living in Jayanagar in those days, and my office used to be in Yashwantpur. Now in 1995, Veena and I had our first daughter, who's our only daughter, Gayatri. And I wrote a letter to Mr. Darbari Seth saying we have been blessed with a baby daughter. So he wrote back immediately saying, my blessings are with you and my blessings are with your daughter. He enclosed a check for maybe 1,001 rupees or something, which I proudly showed my parents, I proudly showed my wife, and that letter must be still there somewhere in my files. I kept it there. And then we forgot all about that episode. 3 months later, I was working in my office in Yashwantpur. My wife was working in an office on Primrose Road, which is very close to MG Road here. And in my office at about 11 o'clock in the morning, I get a call from a very senior official of Tata Coffee. And he tells me our chairman, Mr. Darbari Seth, had come to Coorg to visit the coffee plantations for a board meeting. He is on his way back to Mumbai, passing through Bangalore. And he has told us that he wants to come to your house to meet your baby daughter. Now I got very panicky. I'm not even sure how our sitting room is, I must have left in a hurry. My wife is in the office. So I immediately called my wife and said, listen, I've just got a call. Someone says that Mr. Darbari Seth, our chairman, is coming home. You also, if possible, please come. I'm not even sure what our house looks like just now. So we went back to our house in Jayanagar. We prepared our sitting room, and promptly at 3 o'clock that afternoon, Mr. Darbari Seth comes home. He comes home, he spends half an hour with my parents, with my wife, with my daughter, with me, holds my daughter in his hands, blesses her personally, and then he goes all the way towards the airport, and from the airport he goes to Mumbai. Now the fact is, he must have been already 70 years of age at that time, 65 or 70. But the fact that he took the trouble of driving through the roads of Bangalore when he was coming from Coorg before going to the airport to visit me at my house and see my baby daughter, this is something which it's impossible to forget, which is why, 1995 to today, 31 years later, I'm still narrating this episode with great pride to you. And you can hear this from many other people who have worked, that he has done similar things. Reached out to them, gone to their houses, been with their families. This requires a lot of energy. It doesn't happen by itself. It must have required a lot of energy for him to make this single visit. But 31 years later, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, I don't remember how much tea I sold in Tata Tea in the year 1995. I don't even remember what bonus Tata Tea gave me in 1995. Hopefully it was a good amount. But whatever it is, I don't remember the exact figure now. But I do remember that the chairman of the company came to my house to bless my baby daughter personally. This to me is the soul of leadership. So this is where true leadership lies. And therefore, I just want to conclude by saying that while one part of leadership is setting direction, providing vision, having the courage to take bold moves, executing beautifully within the business. And I believe in all that. I have myself been the CEO of businesses. I know how important that part of business is. But the soul of leadership really lies in care and compassion, in respect and dignity for the individual, in how you go out to take care of the members of your teams. That is what Ratan Tata's Ratan Tata's response to the 26/11 attacks, or how how he reacted in his meeting with me, or what Mr. Krishna Kumar did when he took care of a guest house staff's medical expense or came for my wedding, or what Darbari Seth did when he came to meet my baby daughter. All those are just a few illustrations. There are hundreds of such stories that I can share with you, but I should keep to my time. And I just want to conclude by saying that I am very, very thankful to the HR fraternity whom you represent, for how much you make us as CEOs to focus on people in the business. Sometimes as CEOs we may lose track of focusing on people in every way, and we may be completely driven by business growth and business metrics. And I think you play a very important role in bringing the focus back to people and in championing people within the business. And truly, to me, the soul of leadership is people, care and compassion, respect and dignity. This is where outstanding leaders shine and make their mark truly felt. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me a